Welcome to the series on BlueWorx, a leading solution to mobilise your SAP Plant Maintenance operations. I'm Craig Bennett and I work for ZAG as their Product Development Manager. ZAG has been successfully selling, implementing and supporting our customers using SAP for over 20 years. Today, ZAG has over 80 customers in New Zealand and Australia, and we support BlueWorx customers globally. BlueWorx is a world-class solution. It includes many innovations designed to help you achieve meaningful business value. In this video series, we'll set out to provide you with insights into it. We'll demonstrate its ease of use, versatility, and the unprecedented width and depth of its functionality. I hope you find value in this and the other videos, not just in terms of BlueWorx, but also in providing you insights into some of the concepts, challenges, and approaches to mobilising your SAP asset management. If you have any questions about BlueWorx and how it might be applied to your operations, then please get in touch.
In this video, I'll provide an introduction to the core functionality in BlueWorx. Along the way, we will explore the screens and functions in some detail. This is a good way to get an appreciation of the breadth and depth of what BlueWorx offers. When we do customer demos, we try and focus on scenarios and assets appropriate to their industry. In this demonstration, I'll generally stick to some generic scenarios, and hopefully you can visualize how these can apply to your industry. We are more than happy to engage with you in a personalized demo to cover your operational needs. There's a lot to cover, which is why I'm leaving 3 key areas of BlueWorx innovation to other videos. Right, let's get started. So what we're seeing here is the home screen of the application. We have the tiles for work and notifications, and then a menu tile that goes into assets and measures, an outbox of items that are ready to send to SAP, and then my crew component. Up in the top right, we have a number of settings that we can maintain, and these settings increase when you're on a mobile device and there's more control for your offline mode. So, for example, under the user settings, if we have more than one what we call BlueWorx user profiles available, we can go change those. That's optional that you allow users to be able to do that, but if you have examples of personnel that are changing shifts, that regularly have to have different series of data on their devices, then you can enable them to go and choose whichever profile they have active at a time. Or if you have personnel maybe that have work queued when they go into unplanned shutdowns, then you can easily have them all switch over to a work queue that's appropriate for the shutdown period. Okay, back to the main screen. Down the right hand bottom we have map functionality. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to cover this in more detail in other presentations, but we'll just go and have a quick look in here. So what this is showing is number of orders that are displayed, so order groupings with a mix of data that's coming through from Esri servers. And I can drill down and navigate to some of those items. And I can also go and change the map that's being displayed underneath them. Okay, now I'm going to back out to the main screen again. Consistent within the application is that if you use the left hand top button, you're backing out to the screen prior to the one that you were in, and any other screen that's away from this main screen, there's a home button up the right hand top which will return you to this screen. Moving along the bottom, we have the ability to sync with SAP, and so this can either occur when the user initiates it, or they can be prompted to initiate it based upon changes that have occurred in the SAP system, or you can have it automatically occurring based upon change events. And over to the right down the bottom in the main menu and a lot of the list screens is a list of favorites that you have for equipment and functional locations, and the history of the items that you've recently navigated to. So that's work orders, notifications, functional locations, and equipment. This is an easy way for you to get back to work that you may have previously been working on. Could have been that you stopped waiting for parts. You've got a long list of work orders, you know that you did it yesterday, and so you can easily just go back in here and reconnect with the work that you were undertaking. And for favourites, if you've got some pieces of equipment that you work on or use often, maybe it's a vehicle that you regularly use and need to do a daily inspection on, then you can jump into that and gain access to it very quickly. So these are personalised to you, these favourites. So now we'll move into the My Work, so this is all around work orders, and we have a list of work orders that are displayed with some colour coding going down the left. It's given me a warning that these items are either coming due, or if it's red, that they're overdue. green if I had completed something and it hadn't been synced, or with no colour meaning it's some time away from today. I can switch between the order view that it's now on and the operations view, which is going to show the complete list of orders and then operations. So it's just exploded it out for me. It helps me without having to dive into each order to more readily find something. I'll just switch back to the order view. Now one of the things we can do is very quick searching, if you like Google search. So if I type in air, for example, it's going to go away and find all the orders or all the pieces of equipment that have the word air in it. And I could further refine that down by adding something else to it, and it can be partial searches. If I put 740, then it's found 740 in one of the order references. So that's a quick way of searching. So there's a more detailed filter available down the bottom of the screen, and that allows you to dynamically select from values that are representative of the items in this list. So for example, if I just wanted the very high work orders, I'd select that and apply. And I'm only getting the very high ones. There is another group of options for the operational items. And if I want to, and I might commonly use this for very high orders, I can go and save this for future use. So now I have a save variant on my device that I can easily apply. So I cleared the filters just to demonstrate the use of this and apply it again. It goes and sets the variant for me. Okay, I'll just clear that to get back to the full list and hide that part of the screen. So the next tab shows me a calendar view. So this shows me work that's coming up in my planning period. Next is any inspections related to the orders that I have. This is a development system, so we've got a lot of inspections in play at the moment, and I'm going to cover inspections in a separate video. And the last tab in this area is components. So this shows all the components for the orders that I have on my device, so that I can see how many have been ordered and how many are received, so that I can make sure that I've got the appropriate parts before I go out to do a job. Okay, so let's just move back to the orders and drill into one of them. Now, this is a order that I haven't sent to the SAP system yet, so it's got a temporary number. And if I drill into it, it's pretty topical because it's talking about undertaking this functional demonstration. Looking at the screen, this should be fairly familiar in terms of the SAP data that it displays, and it has a reference function location and a master data equipment, and it also has a notification. Once again, this hasn't been back to SAP yet, so we're working on a temporary number allocated by the system. It's very high because this is an important demonstration, and I can look down and see some responsibilities, see any partners that may have existed for this equipment, and also some long text. And I could go and add long text to this as well. We also allow you to maintain what we call some template text that can help gather information more accurately from users. So if I select something like a fault text, then it's going to add this text in which just prompts the users about what to gather. That's available in all the long text fields within the application, and it's just simple configuration via BlueWorx admin to go and set that up. And we can also add a location reference fairly simply. I have a status button down the bottom, which allows me to, through configuration, to set up a number of statuses that can relate to the SAP user status, but they can also be more personalized to how you undertake your work. And so these order statuses may or may not go through and set a SAP status. And I'll cover that in more detail in the configuration options for the back end. But the general message is that you can personalize this and have it function the way that you want it to operate. If I make changes, then I have a save button, and then over on the right I have a few functions. I can enter readings if there's some measures against this, either through here or through one of the tabs that I've yet to show. I can also navigate to the equipment details through here or through other options. Add text, you've already seen. I can add time, access some reports. If I'm using this in a browser and my configuration has been enabled to do so, I can also go and open up the SAP GUI transaction for this screen. It'll open up SAP and display this work order. I can also call the back end if I'm online and see a confirmation history, so anything that's been confirmed. In this case, there is none. And the last item, I can see users that are personally assigned to this order. There are none at this stage. Now, in terms of the objects, I have a functional location and an equipment specified. So let's go and have a look at one of those. So what I'm about to do is drill down from the work order and into the equipment. So I'm now at the equipment view, and I get to see a good summary overview of the equipment and all the fields that you might expect. And there's some long text there as well that's been captured against the equipment master. There's a structural view, and this is the level that I'm sitting at here, and I can see that this equipment is installed underneath this functional location. Now, the neat thing about this is that I can navigate up and around using this structure. So if I wanted to, I can click on that, and I'm now at the functional location level. Pretty similar in terms of the data that it shows, but this is quite a powerful function to allow me to move up and around. I could drill back down into it, but using my navigation features, I can just move back into the equipment. Now, of course, coming into the equipment and the functional location and having a look around, there's no necessarily a requirement to do that when you're processing a work order. This is to give you a general idea about just the level of information that's available to you while you're working on something. So, like a lot of areas in terms of orders, functional locations, the equipment has some inspections, and once again I'll cover that in a separate topic. And also there's some permits that exist for this equipment that have obviously been set up in the SAP system. There's a few documents. Now, if I was on a mobile device, then I'd also have the option to take photos, or I can upload directly from, in this case, my PC. So if I opened up one of those, it's going to download it to my system, and I can then open it. Those documents can come from General Object Services or from the document management system. There are 3 measurement points that are being maintained for this piece of equipment. It's also got a BOM associated with it, and I can drill into the BOM. And if it was a multi-level BOM, I could move through the items in the BOM. And it's been located on a map, which surface back up to the work order that I'm working on. So in addition, there's other functions down on the right hand side. So I can go and see if there's any work orders on my device or notifications on my device. I can create notifications or field orders, and I'll demonstrate that in other steps. So again, enter measures, execute reports. Again, if I'm enabled, I could go and have a look at IEO3 through a SAP Web GUI, and I can also have a look at the inspection history for this item if I'm online. So why don't I go and have a look at that? So because this is a development system, there's been a lot of inspections undertaken for this particular item. You can see quite a lot of testing that's been going on there, and each one of those has details. So in this case, the equipment description was changed by me, and I changed it from master test equipments to master equipment. Okay, we'll close that one down and we'll deal with that in a lot more detail later on. Down the bottom here is the star, so that's the favorite. To mark this item as a favorite, so deselecting turns it off, selecting turns it back on again. And if there's a location maintained for this item, there's a direction that will open up in Google Maps, giving you driving directions using a Google application. Backing out, I'll just come back to the work order. So moving to the next tab, operations. If you remember our agenda, then I've set up this order and I've set up an operation for each one of the steps that is occurring in the order. So at the moment we're looking at general look and feel. So I could go in and have a look at that and drill into the operation level. So a few less tabs on this one, inspections at the operation level, any measurement points that have been specified in PRTs, and any confirmations that I've made that have yet to go to the SAP system. Scrolling down a bit. Yeah, okay. So I made a note here to make sure that I explained to you on a mobile device that there are more options. Good point. So you can have a look at these on our demonstration application. So for these lists that we're looking at in terms of work orders And as we've yet to see, searching for functional locations and equipment. If you're on a mobile device, there's a barcode scanning option. And as I've already mentioned, you can take photos. And as I think I mentioned, when I go into the settings, there's a few more options on a device that are peculiar to the way that we manage the device and the work that you can do. Well, I've made a start to this one. So I'll go in and set the status and add a little bit of time. Work to date. Well, it's actually taken a little bit to start setting this one up, so I'll put a couple of hours in. Save that confirmation. So now I can see that I've got a confirmation that's sitting there and ready to go. Backing out again, I'm back to my main work order operations list. And I can see that my status has changed and I've got a little start going. I guess in terms of what we're demonstrating here, that's definitely started as well. And because I started this operation, it's automatically paused the other operation. So it's kind of saying you can only do one thing at a time. So it makes sense that if I've started on this one, that I must have paused the other one. And that's set up in your configuration. You don't have to have it that way, but it just handily makes sure that you track exactly where you are. Because while I have this in the started status, it's going to start tracking how much time I actually spend on this. We'll see that a little bit later. Inspections tab. I have no inspections related to this particular work order, but I do have a couple of possible permits that, because this is in a temporary state, it hasn't been to the SAP system yet, they haven't been decided, but because they existed for the equipment, they're being surfaced here, just so that I'm aware of them when I'm maybe doing some work on this work order. In terms of the objects, it has the functional location and the equipment. We've already drilled into those and gone and seen them in some detail, and once again I can get driving instructions to them as well. Now documents, the document count here is for the documents related directly to this order or to the notification of the order, but handily it also goes and gets all the documents and equipment and functional location documents and surfaces them back up into here as well. So that's just helping you so that you don't have to drill into the equipment and functional location and search for those. And here's one for the notification that I had as well. Components, I've not ordered anything on this one. There has been no opportunity in SAP to go and assign any PRTs, and it's surfaced the measurement points from the equipment up into the order, so I don't need to drill in to get to those. I can see them and access them and action them pretty readily. And I have a map, so I can go and visualize where this work is located, and I'll just go and change the map across to Google Satellite, drill out a little bit, and we can see it's on the building where ZAG Wellington is located. Let's go back into our work order. So let's take a look at the notification now. Once again, it's got a temporary number because it hasn't been back to SAP. If I drill into that, I'm now into the notification detail. So I can see that I've maintained it, as you might expect. I'm showing an items and a couple of causes here, and I can maintain them from here or view them in some detail. So here's my item detail, maintained a cause as well. There's an activity, and I've got a task, and that's what I'm trying to do, show you the breadth and depth of BlueWorx. The permits are being shown from the equipment. Now that's something you don't see in standard SAP, but from a safety perspective we think that's pretty important, so that if you're out and you go and create a notification for an item that may have permits associated with it, then it stands to reason that the worker needs to be able to see that, just to know if there's any hazards present in the work or in the equipment that's being assessed. And there's also the documents area. So I've gone and put an attachment in, and here was the agenda for this demonstration. I'm going to back out now, back in work order, move to the operations, and go and mark this one up as completed. And it's going to offer me to enter some time because I'm completing the operation. So I'll say yep, I'll go and add some time. And cleverly it's been working since I started it previously, working on tracking the time that I've actually expended. So I'll go with what it's giving me. I'll say that one's completed and save it. Okay, so we've had a look at introduction, work orders. We've taken a look at functional locations and equipment from a work order view, but we should go and see how we can find those and move through that a little bit more as well. Maybe we'll go from an equipment and create a notification from that directly. So let's go out to the home screen and go into My Assets and Measures. Now in here we have assets, we have any materials that you might have. As for this area we suggest that you don't have hundreds of thousands. It's not trying to take all your plant stock, but certainly works well with 10,000. Measurement points for all the assets you may have, and we'll come back to the measurement reading list as well. So let's now go and find an equipment and raise a notification for it. It's a pretty common thing to be doing. In this case I've just backed a truck into a pole and broken the rear tail light. So I come in and search for my assets. It's a Mack truck. I have a look down here. That's the one. Here's my Mack truck. It's got some documents. It's got some measurement points for it, an odometer, but I just need to get a notification into it. Create a problem notification, assign an assembly. Better put some items in. Put in an object part. We've got a big long list here. I'm just going to select an easy one. Overview of damage, definitely impact damage. Causes, cause, I swear it did. Operator or user error, I think so. Right, we apply that. So the level of detail that you go into there works out to be whatever your business needs are. Of course I could go and take a photo of that, but in this case it's a broken tail light and the pole got off scot-free. So I could save that, and if I wanted to I could start an order for this one as well. So for the sake of demonstration I'll also go and create a field order. So here's my field order, activity type, it's a repair, it's not going to take that long. We'll give it an hour. System's still operational at the moment. Save that. Now I might want to help out by ordering the components for this order. So I'll come in, search for the material, search for lean, just the one. I'll have one of those and demand it. For Friday against that operation. Okay, so that's been added to my order. So I'll back out into my work order. I've now got a component that's been ordered. Alright, let's go home. And I want to go and update what I've managed to progress. So I'll go into my history. Get back to that work order that I'm tracking this all on. Here's my work order. Have a look at my operations. Functional location equipment and notifications. Yeah, I think I covered those ones off, so come into this one, set it to be complete. Add some time on that one. Okay, we're looking pretty good so far, working down the list fairly well. So let's now go and have a look at measurement points and create some documents. So return home. Come into My Assets and Measures. I can go directly into the measurement points and see them all listed, but often you're obviously accessing these from the equipment itself. Here's one though that for that Mack truck that I was just working on before. So I can either enter it directly via here, or I can go in, and it's more likely the case, and enter it from the equipment itself. So let's do that. I can get back into the equipment that I was in pretty quickly, because here's my Mack truck. I'll drill into that, back into here, and we're into measurement points, and there's an odometer for this one. It's what we were just seeing on the other screen before. So I'll drill into that, and I can see standard information that you'd expect around a measurement point, and I haven't taken any readings that are pending update into SAP. Let's go and create a new measurement document. Last reading was 7,000 kilometers. This is a pretty new truck. Let's make it 9,050 and save it. So now I've got one reading that's due to go out next time I synchronize with SAP. Turn back to home. And the final thing that was on my list, measurement reading list. This is a fairly rarely used bit of standard SAP functionality, and it allows you to make a list of measurement points that you may use in a scenario of, for use of a better term, rounds, where you, without having necessarily been directed to from a work order, you go out in an operational sense and gather the measures for a number of assets. So from within here we have the measurement reading list, and I can come in for this example and access multiple points all at the same time. Using this functionality, I can just mass enter it. I can do this for normal measures as well, but in this case it's a predefined list, and so I can update my measures as required. That one 8,000, 6,000, 6,400, and save. So that's gone and made 3 measurement documents and have those ready to go to SAP. So backing out now, we'll go into the home menu. I can now see that I'm starting to acquire a fair bit in my Outbox. If I'd had the opportunity to synchronize with SAP prior to now, then I would have and should have, but I've been saving these up just so that you can see how all of this data accumulates. So let's go and have a look at that. We don't have to go and have a look at this, it's just it gives you an idea of all of the data that's been assembled. And you can also edit any data that's actually waiting to go out from this list as well. So we can see there's 4 order updates, so the order, a couple of orders that I've created and some text, the operations and some operational text, remember I ordered a component and I've made some confirmations. In total there's 8 different things against notifications, the notification themselves and some items. I did 1 reading directly against the truck, and then I did 3 readings against the measurement reading list. Prior to this I deleted some inspection, they're all sitting there. I haven't made any documents, and I didn't do any materials issues, so while I'm here I'll just go in anticipation of completing this, I'll just go into the order to undertake the demonstration, and I'll set the whole order to complete. This is the one that I'm about to do. So I'll save it. Okay, the order's complete. It's gone to my Outbox and I'm ready to synchronize with SAP. My options here is to press the button normally or to undertake a download only. So in other words, don't send anything in my Outbox, but just go and get anything that's waiting for me in SAP. Or to provide a full sync, so not just the delta of changes that have been made since I last synced, but take down everything. In this case, I'm just going to do a standard sync. Now I could send this to the background and carry on doing my work, but for the purposes of this demonstration I want you to see all the things that are occurring in the SAP system. There's a little bit there to do, but it's chewing through it quite quickly. Now, not all of these items will come up every time you sync. It's actually determining what updates are necessary. So in this case, it's just gone and created all those orders, all the confirmations, and all the other updates that I've been doing and demonstrating. And it's now going to go away and work out what master data has changed on my device since last sync and bring that down. Okay, it's all done. I can close that. And I can see that my Outbox is now at 0 and my work order list has reduced because I no longer have to complete this part of the demonstration. To conclude this demo, I'm going to switch to an iPad and go through some points that are either unique to the use of mobile devices or were not shown in the previous demonstrations. I'll focus on the following: the use of barcodes or QR scanning, order PRTs, order components, equipment classification data, and taking photos. This part of the demo will also allow you to appreciate just how some of the screens that you've seen in the earlier demo on a desktop adapt to the tablet screen size. Okay, so I'm demonstrating on an iPad here, and the first thing I'm going to do is just demonstrate the use of barcode scanning. This functionality is available throughout BlueWorx in our list display screens. I have a list of orders here. I've found a piece of equipment and I want to find what the work order is for the particular piece of equipment, and it's scanned the item, put it back into the list and filtered. Pretty simple. We've also had customers that have put their own RFID tags and use that through an extension to go and read the codes that are unique to their own RFID schema. So let's drill into that work order. I'm just going to briefly move over for some PRTs for this order. There's a flow meter for this air conditioning inspection, And I did demonstrate previously adding a component. In this case, there's a couple of items that have already been pre-added to the order, ready to go. If I go into the Objects tab, so now I'm looking at function, location, and equipment, and just draw back into one of these equipment records, then we can see there's some characteristics there. Go and have a look at that, and we can see those coming through from the back end. Back out to my work order. And the last thing that I just wanted to cover off was taking photos. So when you're on a desktop, you can attach files. When you're on a mobile device, you can either upload files or you can take photos. So let's go take a photo now. Here's my air conditioning unit, or a bit of it, photo. Use that. And that's fine. I'll save that. Pretty simple. I've now got a photo ready to go to SAP, and just like before, that's sitting in my Outbox ready to go. Well, that was it for this demo. Pretty simple. Just shows you the versatility of having the same solution, the same screen content, and just adaptive formatting between desktop and mobile devices. So that concludes the demonstration. If you want more information, then please check out the BlueWorx support site, or you can try a sample app for yourself. And finally, if you have any questions or want a personalised demonstration, then please get in touch with Carl or I. Thank you for your time.